Hey there, in this video, we're going to look at 6 cues that we can use to try and deconstruct and finally break those bad habits. It can also work for us if we're trying to make great habits, but for now, what I like us to do is put our Sherlock Holmes hat on, and if you want to take a pipe and put it in your mouth, if that'll make you feel better, then go for it. But please don't do that 2 days in a row, or you might be starting a bad habit. Hey, my name is Brandon. Thank you for joining us. Right now, I'm going through Mark Batterson's book, Do It for Day, How to Make or Break Any Habit in 30 Days. And we are on day number 14, Connecting the Dots. And I just want to talk about 6 cues that if we really just take a moment and analyze what's going on with a habit. And that's what we do. Like so oftentimes we just get in this rut and we do these habits over and over again and we really never sit there and analyze what is it that's happening. That's what we're going to be diving into here right now today. Okay, so the first cue that we want to look at is who. Who were we with either when we were doing the bad habit or who were we with that triggered the bad habit? You know, and what happens to cause this? Is it certain, maybe just hanging out with family? Is it friends? Is it going out with coworkers? Maybe either during a lunch hour or in the evening after work? Is it potentially hanging out with the same group of people at church and maybe that leads you down a bad path of gossiping about people? Or maybe you are just not associating with the right friends. These are all different things and people who can influence different bad habits that we're going through. The second thing that I want us to focus on cue-wise is where. Was there a specific place that caused the cue? Were you maybe driving home from work? Were you in a meeting room at work and maybe it caused you to reach for, or maybe you were in the break room and that's where you keep your lunchbox and that led you to grabbing Twinkies out of the vending machine. Who knows what it is, but the where is definitely one of the cues. And maybe you were just sitting in your car with your wife and that caused the trigger. What happens to cause it? Can you identify a specific trigger that caused you to have a reaction that was a turn of events and actions that allowed you to spiral out of control? Fourth cue is when. Does it happen during a specific time of the day? Or is it maybe in the morning, while you're just getting up, you feel like you need to have a cigarette? Or is it when you get home, or maybe your kids just get home from school, that things start to go sideways? That's whenever you lose your patience, or maybe that's when you begin to get angry. There's so many different things as far as the when. Why? Why do you want to break the habit or make one? Is there a bigger why as to why this habit is so important in your life? And what are the ramifications if you do not fix this? And I think that's a huge one because sometimes it's so easy to skip the why. We don't really take a moment to think about all the possible outcomes that if we don't eradicate this bad habit out of our life, where is that going to lead us 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, 5 years down the road? Are we still going to continue to have that problem and never be able to have broken that habit? So the last cue that I'm going to talk about is how. Is there a certain route that you take home every single day from work that maybe you could change? Like maybe you keep stopping at this convenience store. I had a period of my life where I literally loved these oatmeal no-bake cookies that were at the convenience store, and each one was like 510 calories. And I got to the point where I was stopping at the convenience store every single day and eating one of these no-bake cookies. And if I really sit there and think about it, that was literally like one third of my daily caloric intake that I was allowed. I was consuming in one big sugar-filled no-bake cookie on my way into work. And I sit back and nowadays I look back and I'm like, man, I had like absolutely zero self-control. Trying to capture those thoughts was the furthest thing from my mind, and I just allowed myself to fall into the same repetitive bad behaviors. And I'm not sure if you can imagine that too, but like I think whenever you start falling into these repetitive behaviors, it's kind of like dominoes. And we talked in a previous video about dominoes. Basically, if you have one domino, it's able to topple another domino 1.5 times its size. And if you keep toppling it over, by the time you get to the 23rd domino, you could literally, if it was a 2-inch domino starting out, you could literally topple over the Eiffel Tower by the time you get to the 23rd domino. it works in the opposite as well. We can sometimes take something that's so meaningless, something that we think is no big deal, and it, before you know it, you start doing all of these other things left and right that are bad. Maybe you are going to consume too much alcohol and it's going to make you get angry at your kids. Once you get angry at your kids, you start fighting with your wife. Once you start fighting with your wife, then you're sleeping on different couches and beds. Like, the whole thing spirals out of control. Or maybe the kids come home and they don't take their shoes off, and because they don't take their shoes off, they track mud across the floor, and once they track mud across the floor, then the dog's walking through it, you walk through it in your socks, it makes you angry, and before you know it, then there's a huge family blowout, and that's not good either. So I hope these 6 cues can help you learn to better identify the different mechanisms and cues that we have in our life that cause us to take certain bad actions. And I think that if we all just take a moment, and every time we have this bad repetitive habit that we do, if we can really start to think about what it is that's causing us to react that way and have a series of actions start moving forward, eliminating that cue is absolutely one of the most important things that we can do in our lives to be able to break that habit. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.